Welcome to Clearing the Clutter Inside and Out with Julie Caraccio. Every Tuesday at 1 p.m., hear easy to implement tips on decluttering all areas of your life: physical, mental, emotional, spiritual, and energetic. Learn how to release clutter and get organized to create the life you choose, deserve, and desire. An award-winning professional organizer and coach, Julie is passionate about supporting people in clearing clutter so they can share their gifts with the world and live a more joyful and fulfilling life.
Hey everyone, today we are going to be talking about extreme clutter. What truly is extreme clutter? Can you have one room that's cram-packed that's extreme clutter, or does it have to be an entire home? What does it mean when you have a lot of clutter? We're going to talk about that and much, much more today. All right, I'm going to tell you about today's guest. Rachel Seavey is a professional organizer with a passion for helping those with hoarding disorder and chronic disorganization. In her work as a professional organizer, she helps others shed their emotional and physical clutter, regaining control of their environment and working toward the life they want. Rachel enhances her organizing sessions with the power of affirmations and aromatherapy. She enjoys creating a relaxing ambiance in the midst of chaos and clearing spaces of stagnant energy once the physical clutter has been removed. Rachel is a single mom to a 7-year-old wonder and loves her 2 dogs and bearded dragon. Welcome, Rachel.
Hey, Julie. Thanks for having me on the show.
Well, I'm excited because I know I'm going to be learning a lot today. I don't work with hoarders, and so I'm always curious and want to learn more. Tell me, what do you mean by extreme clutter?
Extreme clutter is when you have areas of the home that you cannot access, rooms that you can't get into, possibly for years, sometimes longer than that, decades, and rooms just aren't able to be used for what they're intended to be. Meals aren't being prepared, bathrooms aren't being used. It gets pretty makeshift sometimes when there's extreme clutter.
So would you consider, because to me, as you're talking, what pops into my head are maybe the attic. I have friends who are like, I don't know what to do with it. My hairdresser says this all the time. I just put it up in the attic and don't deal with it. And so her attic is crammed full, but the rest of the house is fine.
Absolutely. You can have extreme clutter in one area only. But if you're not able to use that room and walk through the space and be able to move through the space or have any sort of emergency vehicles or stretchers come through, then you should really clear it out because it is pretty extreme.
So I'm going to guess that now that I understand the correct definition of extreme clutter, it's probably more common than we think.
It really is. It really is.
Now, would you consider extreme clutter the same as hoarding? Can you, if you're a hoarder, do you have extreme clutter? But if you have extreme clutter, are you a hoarder?
Well, if you're a hoarder, you do have extreme clutter. But if you have extreme clutter, you could also not be a hoarder. Sometimes extreme clutter is because somebody has become physically or mentally unable to do tasks of taking care of themselves and their pets and their homes. And so extreme clutter happens because they can't even move the boxes or put their groceries away or take out their trash. A lot of the times I work with senior citizens who have dementia or Parkinson's or something on set that's going on that maybe nobody else knows about. And it's a while before friends and family go into their homes and see just how extremely cluttered it is.
Okay, so that's interesting because I would think I had a grandmother that had Alzheimer's, and that wasn't her issue, but I saw other things that happened to her, and she just wasn't able to take care of herself.
I work with that a lot, and a lot of the times people don't even ask for help. Either they don't know how dangerous their situation is, or they're just embarrassed, or they don't want to ask people and be a burden on their friends and family. So they start making use of rooms in different ways. I have a lot of clients that don't have working bathrooms. Just a simple leak And being embarrassed of the clutter has turned into pipes breaking, and now they're not able to use their bathroom properly. So they're either driving to places to shower and use the bathroom, or they're just using baby wipes, or they're doing nothing at all. But something just as simple as a small leak inside of extreme clutter can really send things downhill.
So I'm curious, is there what I would call an official definition of extreme clutter? For instance, if it's 16 inches out from the wall. I mean, I think you gave a really great, simple definition. If you can't use the room for what it's intended, you can't use a bathroom to take a bath or use the bathroom. That to me is a pretty good definition, but I know that you specialize in chronic disorganization and hoarding. So is there an official definition?
I don't know if there's an official definition of extreme clutter, but there is of hoarding. And most of my clients aren't technically hoarders. Hoarders have a very strong attachment to their items, and letting them go is incredibly hard for them. Whereas somebody with extreme clutter that mentally or physically can't take care of themselves, they might not even care, and they might want to be trying to get the stuff out and have no attachment to it. They just physically or mentally can't. So hoarding is a true attachment to items that people might consider trash, and then spaces aren't able to be used properly. So they kind of intermix a little bit, but to be a true hoarder, you have to have that attachment to your items. And actually, a lot of my clients don't have that attachment. They just physically can't move the stuff, and then they become overwhelmed.
What have you found in your work has been the biggest challenges to successfully overcoming or dealing with extreme clutter?
There's physical challenges just as far as the foundation goes. Avalanches, people like to stack bins and boxes all the way up to their ceilings, and then you might accidentally move the wrong one and things come crashing down. Challenges could be there's always a lot of dust, because people can't dust if there's extreme clutter. So not only myself and my team have problems breathing, but a lot of my clients have CPAP machines next to their bed, and there's just really large amounts of dust. Another thing that happens with extreme clutter could be mold or rodent damage. Your pets might not like the clutter. This is another big one, and they are showing you by relieving themselves in the house, or maybe people have been physically unable to even take their pets out. So the pets are going everywhere. And so it really becomes quite hazardous, and there are a lot of challenges working as far as the physical stuff. The mental stuff with extreme clutter, a lot that I encounter are people don't want to let go of items that they've spent money on. They've spent their hard-earned money on. They've worked their whole lives. Most of my clients are incredibly smart and have incredibly good jobs, and it's very hard for them to want to let go items that they've paid for. So sometimes they hang on to items to maybe consign them or give them away, but that's also a challenge.
Excellent. Well, unfortunately, we have our cat Joey who poops outside the litter box, and we don't have clutter. I think we're working on it. We're working on it. Now, I'm curious. I know with hoarders, again, I don't work with hoarders, and you do, because I know you need specialized training with that. Are there any no-nos when working with someone who has extreme clutter?
Yes, you do not want to be judgmental. And facial expressions, muttering under your breath, anything. If you see your friend or family member suffering, the last thing you need to do is be judgmental and hurt their feelings. They already feel really bad inside, whether they're showing you or not. They feel terrible inside. And another thing that I really want to stress to people is not to just go in and throw people's stuff out when they're gone for the weekend, or they're in the hospital recovering from a stroke. It is not a good idea to go in and throw all of their stuff away. It is a good idea to remediate safety and make sure that there's no safety issues, but it is not okay to just throw away people's stuff. That will really stress them out and make their conditions worse.
Soothe your soul with our customized aromatherapy blends designed to support you in clearing clutter. Our unique blends include space clearing, Zen mind, serenity, awareness, natural awakening, loving kindness, gratitude, forgiveness, blissful balance, and present time, which will become your favorite. Learn more at reawakenyourbrilliance.com.
Now, can you offer us any tips to prepare to deal with extreme clutter? If someone is listening saying, okay, I'm going to try to help my mother-in-law who has starting to have dementia, what would you say? What tips would you give?
I would say to take it very slow and to earn the person's trust, and to try and let go of what your idea of a perfect home is, and just try and allow them to let go of items. I'd like to encourage people to take the person out even before you go into their home, to just start telling them what they need to do. Spend some time with the person and create a quality bond with the person, and don't just make it all about their clutter. I think that's why they don't invite people over, because a lot of people are just overly critical, and they think they're super helpful, and they think this person had never thought of it before, but they have. And so I just say go in slow. Don't expect too much. Definitely encourage your loved one to have a therapist or see a therapist if they're not seeing one, and discuss the clutter with them. And if they have any friends or anybody else that can join in, and just try and make it a team effort so the person feels really loved and supported.
Wonderful advice. That would be good advice, and not judging for just about everything we do in life. So I think that's wonderful. Now, I'm sure you get this question, asked this question a lot. I know when I do professional organizing, I blame the Hoarders TV shows and all those organizing shows on TV, because people have such an unrealistic expectation of how long it's going to take to clear the clutter and then get organized. Now with extreme clutter, because that's dealing with a larger amount of clutter, what do you tell people the amount of time it's going to take? Are you able to ballpark it, or how do you work that?
I have people that want things done overnight. And because I have a team and we're all very skilled, we can get that kind of a project done. And that's not the kind of project I recommend for someone with extreme clutter. The slower you go through it, I think that the person should go through every single item, and make a decision on whether they like the item, whether they want to use the item, probably the same advice that you give your clients. And what we usually do when there's a large amount of items is we keep an ongoing list, and it gets really detailed. I think that when you come down with a plan with your client or with your friend or family member that says, hey, maybe on Tuesdays for the next 6 months, we'll work together. I usually like to work with people for at least 6 months to a year that have extreme clutter. That's usually not what they want to hear at first. A lot of people have realistic expectations. They say, oh my gosh, can you do this? And I say, yes, we can. But it's going to come back because we've only fixed the clutter. We haven't helped you at all, and you're the one who's cluttering. So we're just getting better at organizing, and we're not really helping you. And so I try and allow my clients to make a healthy decision for themselves. If they really want to work on themselves, They should be working with a therapist at the same time. They should be working on their diet and exercise at the same time. They should really just take it slow and take it one day at a time and not criticize themselves. We do, as I said, do the overnight kind of thing. Sometimes people are in distress and they need a lot of items removed quickly. Maybe they're being evicted or leaving for a long time. So we do pick people up very quickly, but the best solution is for people to take it one day at a time and let the process just feel good to them.
Wonderful. Now, I'm a big fan of being green, being eco-friendly, but I also know that isn't always possible. So do you have any tips in ways that you're eco-friendly when doing an extreme clutter, or guidelines to know when's it time to throw something out?
That's a really good question. And especially living and working in the San Francisco Bay Area, I do have a lot of clients that are very economically conscious and environmentally conscious, and they just want to leave as small a footprint as they can. And sometimes it holds them back. So what I like to do, number one, is donate. Anything that we can donate, we encourage to donate. A lot of the times, if people have a cause that's close to them and it's close in the area, we will take it to that cause and bring them their receipt back. That's the number one tip I have. Paper is a huge, huge, huge source of extreme clutter. Books, we always try and donate to the library. Magazines and junk mail, you can easily recycle. And we just pull up their recycling bin to where we're going through the mail and just fill it up. And that's actually what I encourage people to do while they're going through their mail themselves, is to recycle anything that doesn't have any personal information. And it's amazing how much recycling you can come up with when there's an extreme clutter situation.
I believe that. Now, have you found that there's a certain mindset or emotional or mental clutter with someone who is an extreme clutterer?
I would say there is a definite waste not, want not mindset. I feel like a lot of my clients are so concerned with the environment that they're saving every butter container, every Tupperware that comes with sandwich meat, just everything, so they don't have to go out and buy it again. But it's just overflowing and it's taking over their homes. I don't know about other parts in the country, but in the Bay Area, a lot of my jobs are taking recycling to the recycling center for people because they want to have money. They pay you for recycling, or they just want them recycled. And it means so much to them. And when it's 30% of the clutter, it's like, okay, we'll just take it for you. And we've taken, 20 garbage bags of cans before for people and brought back the money. And whatever you can do to help out is the best thing.
Wonderful. Now, I'm thinking that you said it was interesting. I didn't know at the beginning of the interview that a main difference between hoarders is, there's an emotional attachment to keeping something and they want to do that. I would still think, though, with an extreme clutterer, what advice would you have that there would still be some emotions going on? And if someone were to say, go work with a loved one, first of all, I would think it being the loved one, I've been in that situation where, we had a family member who was hoarding and we didn't know it. And it hurt me. It pained me to see him in pain. And so what advice would you have for either the person dealing with the extreme clutterer, if they become emotional, or if you are helping someone and you start to get a little emotional, what would you say?
I would say to just go with the emotion. It's an emotional process. A lot of the times people are bringing up things that are emotional. I guess the difference would be, I think all of us have emotional attachments to some items, but this is more of on a much larger scale. And hoarders have that same attachment that you might have to your favorite, first teddy bear to anything, on their floor or on their kitchen tables. So it's beyond just having emotional attachment. It's beyond thinking things are pretty or thinking things have a useful purpose. It is painful for them to let go of items. It has become absolutely painful, cause extreme anxiety and depression to let go of these items. So I would say let your loved one, or if it's you going through it, let yourself work it out. A lot of the times people are cluttering up their hearts with all of this emotion that they've been running and hiding from and barricading themselves with walls of stuff from. And once they actually sit down and feel that pain, they're able to let go a lot of that emotional clutter, and it really helps with the physical clutter. When people are breaking down or crying on my sessions, I let them have their time, and I honor that they're feeling it's a hard process and that they're feeling down or bad or ashamed or whatever their feeling is, angry at themselves for spending all their money. Just let yourself feel it for a moment and try and move through it. I feel like a lot of people are buying things and shopping, and then they're just constantly avoiding that pain. And so once they handle that pain, either with their therapist or just sitting for a moment with it, they'll be able to let go of the physical clutter.
I agree with you 110%. I'm a huge firm believer in honoring our emotions, and I think we don't do that often enough. Now I'm curious, once you go in, maybe it's an entire house that has extreme clutter, one room, do you clean after you've cleared the clutter?
Oh, absolutely. I clean usually during the process. If I'm going through a closet, or once I get to the closet, once I've unearthed it, we pull everything out and give it a good vacuuming with the small vacuum attachment and really try and just put things back nice and neat and clean, and it feels really good. And I always vacuum and I always dust. I just think it looks better. I think it feels better with extreme clutter, especially with the dust. We bring a HEPA vacuum, and it feels lighter in the room with the cleaning as well. It's a lot of the times we're making green products. That's another way you could be green. I have clients that have allergies, probably from their dust, but they want me to use organic products. And so we use a lot of fresh lemon and vinegar and vodka sometimes. And it brings a nice aroma. A lot of the times I use maybe a spritz of essential oil and spritz around the room. I love to use citrus scents to kind of boost up everybody's energy during the session. So I really like cleaning and using aroma throughout my session. It really adds an extra oomph to the whole thing.
Soothe your soul with our customized aromatherapy blends designed to support you in clearing clutter. Our unique blends include space clearing, Zen mind, serenity, awareness, natural awakening, loving kindness, gratitude, forgiveness, blissful balance, and present time, which will become your favorite. Learn more at reawakenyourbrilliance.com.
I actually interviewed Rachel. You can go to the Clearing the Clutter Inside Out podcast, and we did a podcast on aromatherapy. Now, do you have any final thoughts about extreme clutter? Something maybe I didn't ask, so you think it's really important that you'd like to share?
I would say that people with extreme clutter don't believe that they can get beyond the extreme clutter. And I just wish more people would have confidence either in professional organizers or some of their friends and family or themselves, to just really know that they can make it through. I've dealt with people where we couldn't get into any room of their home, and now they just love their home. And so I've seen the light at the end of the tunnel, and it's beautiful. And as long as you don't give up, it can actually happen.
I love that. Absolutely believe, have faith, never give up. Now, you have to share one last tip to help us clear clutter on the inside or the out. Your choice.
One last tip would be to, gosh, I don't know, Julie. I have a lot of tips. I would say if you have extreme clutter, you usually don't open up the windows. This is just a basic thing that you can do because I don't want it to be too overwhelming for my people out there with extreme clutter. It's just open up the windows and get some fresh air going through your home. I can't believe how many windows that I've personally opened that haven't been open in 10 or 20 years. And if you don't want anyone to see in your home, do it late at night, just for a little while. It's just so stagnant, and the energy becomes so stagnant in the home. Just opening up the windows and getting a little bit of crosswind in there can really help move some stuff out of there.
I love that. There's nothing like a fresh breeze to change the energy of where you are, and it can make a huge difference.
It really can. It really can. And I also tell people that when they're decluttering, always make sure you have water and any sort of heating pad or ibuprofen or whatever you need. It sounds really basic, and people always blow me off when I tell them. But the next day they go, oh my gosh, I should have listened to you, because extreme clutter is heavy and you're bending and lifting and sorting and twisting, and you could really be sore the next day if you don't take good care of yourself.
Excellent tip. Now, Rachel, I know you're going to be joining us in the land of podcasting. So please tell people about that, your website, any other good stuff that you'd like to share with people.
I am super excited about my podcast. It's going to be giving information and tips and hacks for people with extreme clutter, people who hoard, people who just shop a lot and don't know why. It's going to include interviews with experts. I have clients now that want to be interviewed. And I just think it's going to be really awesome. I think it'll help people understand that there are a lot of people out there suffering with clutter. And it doesn't even have to be an entire room full of clutter. It could just be extreme to you. Sometimes people's levels of extreme are completely different. Some people are completely overwhelmed with just a small amount of items. So it's really geared to people who are overwhelmed with clutter. My website has all of my services on there, where I offer consultations with clients in home. I travel, I do Skype, or I can do Google Hangouts, whatever's good for people. And I also counsel and consult with friends and family members of people who have loved ones who hoard, because the majority of people that call me are actually friends and family. And so I try and help them come up with a good plan for their loved ones so that they can help in the best possible way.
So Rachel, Hoarganize, which is your podcast, it will have a link on your website, which is collectorcare.com.
That is correct. Hoarganize, and it'll be on collectorcare.com.
That's a hard one. Hoarganize. I haven't quite gotten that down, but you have links, and on collectorcare.com, people will be able to find out how to access it and listen.
Oh, absolutely. Definitely.
Well, thank you. This was extremely informative. I wish that I would have known you a couple years ago, because again, I don't work with extreme clutter or hoarders, and we needed a family member that needed some help. So I'm excited, because unfortunately it wasn't handled properly. So I know that it's going to come up again, that you would be a great resource, because you're someone I would have contacted and said, okay, I need a game plan. Give me some guidelines here to be able to do it. So I think that's a wonderful service that you offer.
Thank you.
All right, everyone. Thanks to Rachel. You got some good information today on extreme clutter. So go out, clear some clutter to create the life you choose, deserve, and desire.
Thanks for listening to Clearing the Clutter Inside and Out. Sign up for our newsletter and receive a free copy of our 10 clutter-free living tips. Ready to create the life you choose, deserve, and desire? Learn about Julie's services, including coaching, classes, affirmations, aromatherapy, and her unique How to Declutter Your Life course and more at reawakenyourbrilliance.com. Don't forget to subscribe and join us next Tuesday at 1 p.m. Remember, the journey of 1,000 miles begins with one step.